Yay, it is the end of the school year. Congratulations to you. I am so excited to end the school year with a three-question reflect and recap. This is a total game changer, more important than any single continuing ed that you have taken throughout this year. This is where we take all of the information from the year, put it together, take a moment to reflect. And what I do is I did it today. I open a Google Doc, and maybe you're a handwriter and you write instead, but I like to put everything on a Google Doc so I can access it anywhere at any time. And I title that Things I Would Do Differently. And I ask three questions in that Google Doc. The first question I ask, which I think is the most important, is what worked? So I look at what worked this school year, what made me more effective as a therapist, what do the children really respond to, what gave great gains in speech and language and pragmatic communication in AAC, what is it that I definitely want to keep and expand upon and do more of? Where is there fire? Where there's fire, I want to add gasoline. I want to create flames. I want to put more into that and expand upon that. So I make a list on what worked well and what I want to do more of. That is the first question I ask is what was fire? Under fire, go ahead and make a long, long list of this is what was highly effective on my back porch, that's evidence-based, that the kids loved, that I loved, that made me more effective at what I do. The second question I ask is where are the holes? This is an area that I could improve upon, and you want to take it right now because it's fresh in your mind. I'll have an image of Swiss cheese. So I'm saying, what are the holes? This is something I want to improve upon. In terms of the holes, I might be like, why don't I have a swipe for when I'm meeting a new parent and I have to set up an IEP meeting? Why don't I have a copy and paste swipe for that? Okay, and when I say swipe, I just do a Google Doc which says introducing yourself to a parent. Why don't I have a swipe that introduces our Play and Say group? Why don't I have a swipe that talks about how to come to the first therapy session? Why don't I have a swipe? So I was creating all of these swipes in terms of systems. So I'm taking my time and using it on the children and not on those areas that are bureaucratic that you could streamline and use a copy and paste email instead. I think in terms of systems and how I could cut the fat and how I can use my time, which is your most valuable asset, toward what is going to move the needle. I want all of my time at the end of the day to be in the intervention. That is what is most important to me, that it's all funneled into the intervention that the child's receiving and improving the quality of the intervention and how I can support parents and the families as much as possible. That's where I want all of my energy. I don't want it all tied up in stuff that doesn't move the needle. Okay. The second area I think about is I think about the therapeutic techniques. I think about which therapy techniques felt kind of holy. With the high-tech AAC, there's a lot of holes I feel that I really want to fill when it comes to high-tech AAC. Most important, I think, in supporting families and using the high-tech AAC in the home, I want to do so much more in that area in supporting teachers and how we can implement high-tech AAC throughout the entire school day, and thinking about more ways I can use high-tech AAC in my therapy sessions. That's an area where I see holes that I really want to fill. I write all of these holes, and these are where I really want to do something different. And I don't want to have Swiss cheese. Instead, I want it to be more of a Havarti or Gouda. I want to fill in those holes. So I'm going to go ahead and write, these are all of the holes. So I know first off, this is what's working. I want to do more of this. And then second of all, I have in my mind, these are the holes. These are the holes that I want to fill. I want to be stronger in these areas. And the third area I'm going to think about is how am I going to fill these holes? I actually think of a spatula and doing patchwork and you're filling up the holes. And I think about when it comes to filling up the holes, I think about what does my clinical expertise tell me that works? What does the research say that works? And what do the children and the families in the back porch, their feedback, what does that tell me that works? That's the triangle of evidence-based practice. I'm going to keep those three things in mind when it comes to how can I fill these holes. Now, when I'm coming up with ideas about filling the holes, I'm going to think about what's already working with this population? What's already producing measurable gains? And what does the research say? The second section, I have the holes. So that's already brought up. It's right there on the document. When I'm thinking about how I'm going to fill the holes, for instance, people think about AAC as being something totally different than language intervention and what you're doing with children who are speaking. But it really isn't. When you're thinking, this really worked in the language intervention category, it was effective here. How can I use that in the AAC category? What can I do that's parallel to that? The strategy is working, and I just do it a little bit differently so that it works using high-tech AAC as well. You're thinking, this is really effective, these sentence strips. How can I take these sentence strips and integrate them into that platform as well? Because they're really a game changer when it comes to developing speech. I feel that, for instance, in my sentence strips I'm working on, that I feel there's a little bit of a jump from my look at sentence strip to my complex sentence strips. Where is that bridge? I feel a hole there. And I think about, well, this is really, really working. And this is where the hole is. How can I make a little bit of adjustment to fill the hole? So it makes sense to first think about, this is what's fire. And then you're going to think about, how can I take some of that fire and how can I do something different with that fire so that it fills my area of hole? So when it comes to how to fill that hole, put down ideas. The more specific you can be, the better, that you want to implement in 2027. When I say the more specific, I don't want it to be general, like provide more support to families in AAC. Think about, what specific thing are you going to do? How are you going to provide that support to families in the AAC? What has been working when you're providing support in terms of the speech or in terms of the language with the families? And how can you change that a little bit, make a parallel version of that? It's AAC instead of speech, but you're using the same strategy. You're using the same philosophy. You're using the same evidence-based practice. And how can you make it fit in the AAC device? So when you think about filling those holes, you're not exactly coming from ground zero. You're coming from, what is working over here? Is working over here, let's try it over here in the AAC domain. That's really what you want to think about. What is already working on your back porch that's evidence-based, that's producing fire, and how can you use that and change it a little bit, do something different a little bit to fill a hole in another area? And what I did is I had a list already of about 30 different. They might seem like little details, but it's the details that matter in your intervention. It's the details that are going to move the needle, as our research has shown, and which is why I do so much detailed efficacy research. It's the detail, for instance, of which cluster you're going to pick that's going to determine what kind of outcomes you have. It's the detail of what type of language target you're going to pick that's going to impact what kind of outcomes you have. It does matter. Thinking about the details, the more detailed you can be in what you're going to change and how you're going to change things in 2027, the better. I likened all of this, what I do here with this Google Doc, which is right after the school year when everything is fresh and you know that this is what was fire and these were your frustrations and this is how you can do something differently when you have all of these great ideas that you don't want to go away. I think about this, for instance, when I was doing triathlons or marathons, and what I would do afterwards is you have all these little details, like don't take that peanut butter again, it gives you a stomachache, that it was too heavy when you were running. Don't use the suit, the seam gives you a blister, and make sure not to use these socks. You have all of these specific details. The more details, the better. And you write that down in a Google Doc because you're going to forget that next year when you run that marathon next year, or you do that triathlon next year. You're going to forget about those details. But the details, when you're in it, they really matter. They're game changers. Right now is the optimal time, now that everything's fresh in your mind, to go ahead and write all of this down. Once again, the 3 things you're going to write down on your Google Doc, if you're not a Google Docer, you're a handwriting person in your journal, you're going to say, what was fire? The second thing you're going to say is, what was holy as Swiss cheese? The third thing you're going to say is, this is how we're going to fill the holes. These are the ideas I have for filling the holes. The more specific you can be, the better. So you've brain dumped that onto a Google Doc. And what's neat about that is there's a couple things that are going to happen now. Because you have it in writing, the things you want to implement in the 2026-2027 school year, it's going to be top of mind. So you're always going to be subconsciously coming up with solutions for it, thinking of new ideas and how you can implement it. You've dumped it on this Google Doc. You put it in writing, which means you're 42% more likely to actually accomplish these goals. So it's really huge that you put it in writing. It also cleared up your working memory. You've dumped it, you cleared the clutter out of your mind. It's safe in a Google Doc. You don't have to be using your capacities in your thoughts. You can be present. So a couple of things are happening. Subconsciously, now you're going to be thinking about these solutions. When you come across ideas that would work, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's something I wanted to do. And then you can revisit that Google Doc at any time, at any computer that you're at. That's why I love Google Docs. You can be in the middle of nowhere and be like, oh gosh, I got to add this to the Google Doc. And you go ahead and put that in. The second reason is that now you don't even have to think about it. You've taken everything, you've dumped it, you've saved all those treasures. You don't have to hold on to it, and you can be present and you can enjoy the summer and you can recover. You have new ideas. That whole space is free to flow and creatively innovate. This is why I like the Google Doc because I can pull it up anywhere there's a computer or anywhere that I have a phone, and I can add ideas or edit my ideas and make them better. Take this whole year of learning and don't let it go in a waste. You're going to do something different next school year and you're going to do something better. I want you to do what you do best, which is to roll up your sleeves and make the world a better place, one child at a time. You are always going to be first. Thank you so much for being here with me this school year. I look forward to growing with you over the summer. Right now is the time to reflect.